Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. But today, I want to talk about online dating because you probably figured it out, but everybody's using artificial intelligence as basically they're going online and trying to find that soulmate, that whoever for tonight, whatever it is you're looking for. So obviously, this now, by virtue of the development of the chat GPTs of the world, are really good at drafting things like pickup lines, wedding vows, date plans, all this kind of stuff. And you can even upload photos of a potential match into chat GPT and ask it if they're lying about their height. You can send screenshots of text messages to ask for analysis, all this kind of stuff. So Dr. Jeff Gunther, and this is coming from GQ, by the way, he's a licensed therapist, has recently seen more men, both friends and some of his clients, using ChatGPT for, quote, emotionally sticky, end quote, situations. And to continue the quote, it's more common for men to outsource their emotional work, end quote. I think, quite frankly, that's a bit of the issue. Now, there is something that males around the world, specifically American males, if you're, let's say, Gen X or so, grew up with. It's called alexithymia or alexithymia, where we have a hard time putting basically a lexicon around our emotional state of being. So I might be able to tell you, or a regular guy might be able to tell you, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm mad. But when you get into more complex emotions, things that make you feel a multitude of emotions, it is very difficult for a lot of men to express themselves. And so they're turning to Chat GPT for this. But I think there's some longitudinal issues with this. Now, according to Jared Freed, he is a comedian behind the popular dating podcast You Up. Never heard of it until now, but I quote Mr. Freed, just from my experience listening to women, if a guy is even making the effort to go on ChatGPT to make sure he sounds like less of a monster, they might be kind of happy about it, end quote. And sure, I get that. I genuinely do. Some people do not put their best foot out there in written word, whether it's a message online, you're sending an actual letter itself for whoever does that anymore. So that is, I think, a very valid argument. Now, dating apps obviously see essentially what the open AIs of the world are doing, and they're starting to integrate this. I talked about the Wingman, that Grindr, that's the gay dating app, was essentially putting out there, where you basically can have your assistant on Grindr talk to somebody else's assistant to figure out your likes, your dislikes, make plans for you, all this kind of stuff. These things are coming to fruition, but I think we're losing something here, in the translation, because part of growing up, part of developing yourself as a human is to start developing those emotional lexicons, is to start really understanding basically yourself, and therefore make yourself a better partner for somebody else. I don't care if you're gay, straight, whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is that everybody wants somebody that is to some extent emotionally available, and quite frankly, if the chat GPTs of the world are doing the work for us, I have to imagine longitudinally that's going to be disappointing. Now there's obviously going to be stigmas online. If I sounding stunted or not engaged or interested, that's something that, let's say, a woman might pick up on, or a guy may pick up on, and whatever, and say, this is really not for me. So I can understand trying to break that ice, but at the end of the day, at some point you have to physically show up and then put up or shut up, right? And if you are basically the strong silent type when you've been anything but online, I think that's basically going to be deleterious in the long term to any potential mate. Now, it might get you past that first hurdle, but I also think this speaks to a lack of socialization in the younger generations. I've talked about this before, but the 16, 17, 18-year-olds don't have to show up at their prospective, date's house, get through the father or mother that wants nothing to do with you to basically ask out the girl or the guy, et cetera, et cetera. In the same way, when we would call the number, it would be a landline at the house, and odds are her father or mother would pick up, or his father or mother would pick up, and you'd have to run that gauntlet to get to the person. And people could also listen in on phone conversations back in the day because we didn't have cell phones, and on and on and on. And when I was basically years ago online dating and all of that, the other thing was I wanted to get to know the person and not get to know an artificial intelligence. And when I was online dating, there was no AI that I could have leveraged even if I wanted to. But getting to know that person in that process is really important, because if I'm talking to him or her and quite frankly I'm not feeling it because they're just into different things, or you don't get a vibe, well, then I'm going to move on. And that is worth the effort to find somebody that's going to be compatible with you, not compatible with AI. I don't want to go, basically to a restaurant on a first date and then look at my phone the entire time, or basically, chat up with ChatGPT or whatever it is. I've literally been to restaurants where I see younger people. It's like, I don't even know how you date, because all you're doing is taking pictures of your phone, or taking pictures of your food with your phone and then going online to do God knows what with it. So I don't know, but I feel like we're losing that socialization. We're losing that issue in terms of basically growth and human development. And so I think this is going to be a longitudinal problem. And artificial intelligence isn't the be-all, end-all to all of life's ills. When you're having an actual personal human-to-human relationship, you want the humans, right, and nothing else. So I'll leave it at that. That is your news of the day, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Maybe, I'm an old fuddy-duddy, but, it is what it is. Oh, and I also think about the South Park episode where the South Park kids, and somebody sent me this like a while ago, they all have ChatGPT. All the boys have ChatGPT. They all have girlfriends or like in fourth grade or whatever. And so the girls are sending them text messages as these guys are basically copying and pasting the responses from ChatGPT. And basically all the girls think that they have the most in-touch, amazing, talkative boyfriends when they have no idea what they've been talking about. They're not even paying attention. They're just copy, paste, send as they're playing video games or watching TV. Is that what we're coming to? Yeah, I think that might have been pretty prophetic. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private, informed, and secure. And for the love of God, be a human when you date. Take care.